The galaxy was silent, far away from human space. A massive alien station floated in the darkness, surrounded by glittering stars. It was shaped like a giant ring, with towers rising high like sharp claws. Hundreds of alien ships moved around it, patrolling, guarding, watching. Inside the station, a group of alien diplomats waited. They were members of the Galactic Concord, a powerful alliance of old species that ruled most of the known galaxy. They had gathered here for one reason: to meet the humans for the very first time. The humans were new to space travel. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel a few years ago. To the aliens, humans were young, weak, and unimportant. The meeting was supposed to be simple, just a friendly talk, a handshake, and an agreement for humans to join the Concord. At least, that's what the aliens thought. The leader of the Alien Council, High Speaker Vurok, stood near a wide window, staring out at the stars. His skin was pale blue, his eyes dark and sharp like obsidian stones. Behind him, several other alien leaders whispered among themselves. Some were tall and insect-like, others were covered in fur or scales. Vurok raised a hand for silence. "Today," he said in a deep, slow voice, "the humans arrive. Let us welcome them with calm minds. They are young, but one day, they may serve the Concord well." A smaller alien, a young officer, stepped forward nervously. "High Speaker," the officer said, his voice trembling, "our long-range sensors have detected something unusual." Vurok turned, frowning. "Unusual? Explain." The officer swallowed hard. "The human's shuttle. It is not a normal reading. The energy levels are extreme. We have never seen such numbers before." A low murmur spread through the room. Vurok's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. The humans are new to the stars. They cannot build anything powerful yet. Perhaps your machines are broken." The officer quickly shook his head. "No, High Speaker. The machines are working perfectly. The object heading towards us is enormous." The aliens rushed to the nearest viewing screen. It showed a dark point of light in the distance, moving closer. At first, it looked like a small speck against the endless black of space. But as it drew nearer, the size became clear. The young officer whispered, barely able to speak. It is not a shuttle." The object grew larger and larger, until its true form was revealed, a colossal warship, unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Its black hull seemed to swallow the light around it. Massive, angular plates of armor gleamed in the faint glow of distant stars. Strange symbols were etched across its surface, symbols the aliens had never seen before. The warship moved with silent purpose, like a predator gliding through the void. The room went completely quiet. Even the sound of breathing seemed to vanish. "This cannot be right," one alien elder whispered. "Why would the humans send that?" Vurok's hands tightened into fists. "Perhaps they seek to intimidate us," he said, though his voice shook slightly. "Yes, they want to show strength." But even as he spoke, he didn't believe it. The humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to arrive in a small, harmless ship, a token of trust and peace. This was something else entirely. The warship came closer, so large it filled the entire viewing screen. Its surface bristled with hidden weapons and strange structures whose purpose no one could guess. One alien leader stepped back, fear clear in his many eyes. That is not a ship meant for peace. That is a ship built for war." Alarms began to blare across the station. Red lights flashed. The alien guards shouted, their voices panicked. "Prepare defenses," one shouted. "Activate shields," another screamed. Vurok stood frozen, staring at the monstrous human warship. His heart pounded. A cold dread crept into his mind. He ordered a communication signal sent. "This is the Galactic Concord," he said in his most commanding voice. "Human vessel, identify yourself and state your purpose." For a long moment, there was only silence. The warship did not reply. Then, a single message appeared on their screens. 2 words. Simple, cold, terrifying. We come prepared. The room erupted into chaos. Prepared? Prepared for what? One alien shrieked. Are they here to attack us? Another cried. Vurox stared at the words, his throat dry. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to think. The viewing screen zoomed in on the warship. Slowly, a massive panel on its side began to shift and open. Strange machinery glimmered within, glowing with deadly light. Vurox felt his legs weaken. This is no misunderstanding, he whispered. The humans are not here for peace. The alien station trembled as the warship's engines roared, filling the void with a deep, low hum that shook every soul aboard the station. The young officer's voice cracked with fear. High Speaker, what do we do? Vurox turned slowly, his face pale, his voice hollow. Pray, he said. Pray they only came to scare us. Outside, the warship drifted closer, silent and unstoppable. It was a shadow of doom, a dark promise of violence. The aliens had expected a simple shuttle. Instead, they had been given a nightmare. The screen went black. And the galaxy would never be the same. Panic filled the alien station. Sirens screamed, red lights flashed, and alien soldiers rushed through the hallways, their feet pounding against the metallic floors. The air was thick with fear. Every screen, every sensor, every voice repeated the same message. Unidentified human warship approaching. High Speaker Vurox stood frozen in the command chamber, his dark eyes locked on the main viewing screen. Outside, the enormous human ship drifted silently in the void. It was so massive, it looked like a small moon, its black hull reflecting almost no light. The chamber was packed with alien leaders and military officers. They were shouting over one another, their voices filled with terror. They said humans were a young race, one leader hissed, his insect-like mandibles clacking loudly. How did they build something like that? Another demanded, his fur bristling. This must be a trick, a third cried. There is no way they could create such a monster ship. Vurox raised his hand for silence, but his own hand trembled. Enough, he barked, forcing his voice to be strong. Panic will not save us. We must understand what we are facing. He turned to the young officer who had first reported the strange readings. The officer's skin was pale with fear, his 4 eyes wide. Give me a full report, Vurox ordered. The officer swallowed hard and activated a holographic display. A glowing image of the human warship appeared in the center of the room. Even as a projection, its size made everyone uneasy. Our scans, the officer began, cannot fully map the ship. Its outer layer is shifting, like it's hiding its true structure. But what we do know is disturbing. He pressed a control, and several data points appeared. The energy levels of this vessel are off the charts. Its weapon systems are unlike anything in the Concord's databases. And its shields. The officer hesitated, his voice breaking. Our weapons may not even scratch them. A stunned silence filled the room. One elder, his body covered in glittering scales, whispered, "This is not a ship meant for exploration. This is a predator." The words hung in the air like poison. Another alien slammed his clawed hand against the table. No, this is impossible. Humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to arrive in a small shuttle, unarmed, to discuss peace. How could they build this? Vurox's eyes narrowed. Perhaps they did not build it alone. Perhaps another power gave it to them. The scaled elder shook his head slowly. No, High Speaker. Look closely. That ship's design. It is uniquely human. Crude, angular, aggressive. No other species builds like that. Vurox's heart sank. If this was truly human work, it meant they were far more advanced than anyone believed. The young officer pointed to a strange, glowing section near the center of the warship. We detected something here, he said. A core unlike any technology we know. It could be a weapon, or a power source. Either way, it is beyond our understanding. Vurox stared at the image, his mind racing. Humans were supposed to be allies, easy to control, easy to manipulate. But this changed everything. Send another message, Vurox commanded. Demand they explain themselves. The officer obeyed, sending a communication pulse toward the human ship. Seconds passed. No reply. Then, just like before, a message appeared. 2 words again. Cold. Final. We wait. Vurox's throat tightened. They wait. For what? The insect-like alien hissed, his fear turning to anger. They are mocking us. They think they can frighten us with silence. No, the scaled elder said grimly. They are waiting for us to make a mistake. The chamber fell silent again. Every alien present could feel it now. The humans weren't just showing strength. They were testing them. Watching. Measuring. Deciding. Suddenly, one of the external patrol ships opened fire. Bright streaks of energy shot toward the human warship, lighting up the void. The attack had no effect. The energy blast struck the black hull, and vanished, absorbed like drops of water on a hot stone. The warship didn't move. It didn't fire back. It simply stood there, cold and silent, like a predator letting its prey exhaust itself. The alien officers stared in disbelief. They didn't even activate their shields, one whispered. Vurox's stomach twisted with dread. This is a message, he said quietly. They are showing us that our weapons are meaningless. The scaled elder turned to him. We should retreat. Now. Before they decide to strike. No, Vurox said sharply. If we retreat, we admit weakness. The Concord cannot show fear. The insect-like alien's voice trembled. High Speaker, what if they came here not to talk, but to end us? Vurox didn't answer. He didn't have an answer. He turned back to the viewing screen. The warship filled the entire display now, a dark wall of metal and mystery. As he stared at it, he felt something he had never felt before. Hopelessness. He whispered to himself, too softly for the others to hear. This is not a misunderstanding. The humans came ready for war. Behind him, the other alien leaders argued, panicked voices rising again. But Vurox barely heard them. His mind was fixed on a single thought. If this was what humanity could build now, so soon after entering the stars, what would they build next? The viewing screen flickered. For a split second, something shifted on the warship's hull, massive panels moving into position. The young officer gasped. High Speaker, they're changing formation. Vurox's eyes widened. No, he breathed. They are preparing for something. The room fell silent, every alien staring at the warship in terror. Then the station trembled as a deep, rumbling sound echoed through the void. The humans had not fired a single shot. And yet, somehow, they were winning. The alien station trembled in fear. But aboard the human warship, there was only silence. Calm. Control. Inside the bridge of the massive vessel, the crew worked with perfect precision. Holographic displays glowed softly, showing data streams and tactical maps. The humans moved like shadows, speaking in low, focused voices. At the center stood Captain Elena Graves. She was tall, with sharp eyes and a face carved by years of difficult choices. Her uniform was dark, almost blending into the dim lights of the bridge. She stood with her hands clasped behind her back, staring out at the alien station. Her expression was unreadable, but her crew knew the truth. Behind those calm eyes burned cold determination. Status report, Elena said, her voice calm and steady. A young officer, Lieutenant Mason, replied quickly. All systems green, Captain. Weapons at full charge. Shields stable. Engines at standby. Good, Elena said. Hold position. The massive warship remained perfectly still, floating like a silent predator in the dark. For a moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the quiet hum of the ship's core. Finally, Mason glanced at the captain, his voice hesitant. "Captain, do you think they know why we're here?" Elena didn't answer right away. She slowly turned, her gaze sweeping over her crew before settling on Mason. "No," she said at last. "They have no idea." Mason swallowed. "And what if they never find out? What if we just leave?" The corners of Elena's mouth twitched, almost forming a bitter smile. "Leave? After what they planned for us?" She shook her head. "No, Lieutenant. We don't leave. We send a message." Mason looked down, his hands tightening on the edge of the console. "Yes, Captain." A deep voice came from the tactical station. Commander Rourke, Elena's second-in-command, was built like a soldier from an old war, broad shoulders, scarred face, and eyes that never showed fear. He leaned forward, arms crossed. "They think we're here to negotiate," Rourke said. "But we both know what they had in mind." Elena nodded slowly. "Yes. The Galactic Concord invited us here under the banner of peace. But our intelligence discovered the truth. Once we joined their alliance, they would strip Earth of its resources. Our people would become their workers, their soldiers, their slaves." Her voice hardened with every word. "They wanted to chain humanity before we ever had a chance to rise." Around the bridge, the crew shifted uncomfortably. They had all read the secret reports. They had all seen the evidence. Alien council meetings planning humanity's future like cattle being divided for slaughter. Elena's hand tightened into a fist. "We didn't come here to bow. We came here to break their chains before they touch us." The bridge went silent again. The only movement was the slow, steady breathing of the crew. Every person aboard the warship understood their mission now. The vessel itself was part of that mission, a weapon like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. It had a name whispered with awe and fear across every deck: Project Titan. Project Titan wasn't just a ship. It was a statement, built in secret by the combined efforts of Earth's greatest minds. It broke every rule of galactic warfare. Its weapons were experimental, its systems untested, its core entirely new. While the rest of the galaxy argued over politics, humanity built a monster. Rourke's deep voice rumbled through the bridge. "They have no idea what Titan can do. Their scans can't even read half of its systems." He looked at Elena. "When we show our hand, it's going to terrify them." "That's the point," Elena said coldly. She walked to the front of the bridge, standing before a massive viewing window. The alien station floated in the distance, surrounded by dozens of smaller ships. It looked peaceful from here, almost beautiful. But Elena knew better. "They've been watching us since the day we left our planet," she said quietly. "Judging us. Deciding if we were useful." Her tone sharpened, cutting through the silence. "They saw us as tools, as slaves. But today, they will see something else. They will see what happens when humanity decides to fight back." Lieutenant Mason's voice trembled. "Captain, if we do this, there's no turning back. The Concord has hundreds of fleets. If we anger them, they will come for us." Elena turned to face him, her expression cold but unshaken. "They'll come for us no matter what we do. The difference is, now they will fear us." Mason nodded, though his face remained pale. A low chime sounded through the bridge. One of the officers reported, "Captain, they've sent another message." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Display it." The words appeared in glowing letters across the screen. "State your purpose." Rourke chuckled darkly. "They're nervous." Elena stared at the message for a long moment. Then she said, very softly, "Good." She turned to her crew. "Activate Phase 1." Across the massive hull of the Titan, enormous armored plates began to shift and unfold, revealing weapons hidden beneath the surface. Gigantic cannons rose like towers. Rows of missile ports opened silently, their deadly payloads ready. From the alien station, it looked like the ship was transforming, becoming something even more terrifying. On the bridge, Mason's eyes widened. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "No," Rourke corrected him, a grim smile on his scarred face. "It's terrifying." Elena's voice rang out, strong and clear. "Transmit this to every ship and every station within range." The communications officer nodded. "Message ready, Captain." Elena faced the viewing window one last time. "Tell them," she said, her voice like iron. "Humanity does not kneel." The message was sent. And for the first time, the galaxy would know Earth's true strength. The Titan's engines roared to life, shaking the void with a deep, thunderous sound. The time for diplomacy was over. The time for war had begun. The Titan moved forward. Its engines burned with a deep, steady glow, pushing the massive warship toward the alien station. From a distance, it looked like a slow, drifting shadow. But to those watching inside the station, it felt like a mountain sliding through space, unstoppable and terrifying. High Speaker Vurock stood at the center of the alien command chamber, his body tense, his eyes locked on the viewing screen. Around him, alien officers shouted in panic. Orders and alarms filled the air. The station trembled as its defensive systems powered up. "Raise shields to maximum," one officer yelled. "Deploy all fighters," another screamed. Vurock raised his hands, trying to calm them, but his voice was almost drowned out by the chaos. "Do not lose control. We are the Concord. We have faced threats before." Even as he spoke, he didn't believe his own words. Never in his life had he seen a ship like this. Outside the station, dozens of smaller alien warships launched into space. Their hulls glittered like jewels under the light of distant stars. The alien fleet spread out, forming a defensive wall between the Titan and the station. From inside the Titan, Commander Rourke watched the enemy ships take position. "They're lining up like they actually think they can stop us," he said with a humorless laugh. Captain Elena Graves stood at the front of the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. "They don't understand what they're facing," she replied quietly. "Let's educate them." Her voice was calm, but the words sent a chill through the crew. The alien fleet opened fire first. Hundreds of glowing energy bolts streaked across the void, bright lines of death converging on the Titan. The human crew watched silently as the blasts struck the warship's black hull. There was no explosion. No damage. The attacks were simply absorbed, like raindrops falling into an endless ocean. On the alien station, officers stared in disbelief. It's impossible," one stammered. "We hit them with everything." Vurock's voice trembled. "No. We hit them with nothing." On the Titan's bridge, Lieutenant Mason's eyes widened. "They didn't even touch our shields, Captain." Elena's voice was calm. "Good. Now it's our turn." She raised her hand. "Fire the primary cannon. Single shot. Target their flagship." Rourke grinned, his scarred face lit by the glow of the weapon systems. "Aye, Captain." Firing. Beneath the Titan's hull, a massive cannon emerged, its barrel glowing with a cold blue light. The weapon charged silently, a hum growing louder and deeper until it rattled the bones of everyone aboard. Then it fired. A beam of pure energy lanced across the void, striking the alien flagship dead center. For a single heartbeat, the ship seemed to shimmer. Then it was simply gone. No wreckage. No explosion. Just nothing. Silence filled the alien command chamber. Every leader, every officer stared at the empty space where their most powerful warship had been. The shock was so great, some forgot to breathe. Vurock's voice was a whisper. One shot. His legs felt weak. One shot erased them completely. The insect-like alien clutched at his mandibles, his voice panicked. "We cannot fight this. We must retreat." But before Vurock could reply, another alert sounded. Dozens of alien fighters were swarming toward the Titan, desperate to stop it. They moved fast, weaving and dodging, their weapons blazing. The Titan didn't dodge. It didn't need to. "Secondary weapons online," Rourke reported. "Engage," Elena ordered. Hidden panels across the Titan's surface slid open. Rows of smaller cannons emerged, glowing faintly in the darkness. The ship unleashed its fury. Silent, precise bursts of light tore through the alien fighters. One by one, the smaller ships vanished, erased as easily as the flagship. It wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. Within minutes, the space between the Titan and the alien station was empty. Nothing remained but drifting debris and silence. On the station, terror spread like wildfire. Officers screamed as they saw their fleet annihilated. Many abandoned their posts, running through the corridors in blind panic. Vurox stared at the screen, his mind spinning. This cannot be real. They are a young species. How did they do this? The scaled elder beside him hissed. Perhaps we should have asked that question before we tried to enslave them. Vurox had no answer. He knew the elder was right. The Titan now floated just outside the station's defense perimeter. It hadn't even fired on the station itself. It simply waited, its weapons glowing like the eyes of some ancient monster. "They're sending a message," Rourke said grimly. "They're saying, we can destroy you any time we wish." Elena nodded. "Exactly." Her eyes narrowed. "Open a channel. Send the message we prepared." The communications officer worked quickly. "Channel open, Captain." Elena stepped forward, her voice cold and clear. "To the Galactic Concord," she said. "Humanity is not here to join you. We are here to warn you." Her next words cut through the silence like a blade. "If you ever threaten Earth again, this will happen to your worlds." On the alien station, the words echoed through every chamber. For a moment, there was only stunned silence. Then the scaled elder turned to Vurox, his voice heavy with defeat. "High Speaker, we cannot win this war. We must stand down." Vurox's mouth opened, but no words came out. Finally, he gave a single, slow nod. "Send the order," he whispered. "All forces, surrender." Back on the Titan, Rourke looked to Elena. "They're backing down, Captain." Elena didn't smile. She simply stared at the alien station, her expression unreadable. "Good," she said softly. "Phase 1 is complete." Her words sent a chill through the bridge. If this was only Phase 1, what came next? The battle was over. The space outside the alien station was silent, filled only with drifting wreckage and the cold glow of distant stars. The smaller alien ships were gone. The once proud defense fleet of the Galactic Concord had been erased in minutes, as if it had never existed at all. Only the Titan remained. The massive human warship floated motionless, its black hull gleaming faintly. Its weapons were quiet now, but their presence was a silent warning. "This is what we can do to you." Inside the alien command chamber, chaos had turned to despair. Many officers sat slumped at their stations, unable to speak or even look at the viewing screens. The scaled elder stared blankly at his trembling hands, his voice low and broken. "They didn't just defeat us, they humiliated us." High Speaker Vurox stood at the center of the room, silent and still. Moments ago, he had given the order to surrender. He had never thought he would say those words in his lifetime. The Galactic Concord had ruled for thousands of years. They had never lost a battle, until now. "They came here as children," Vurox muttered to himself, "and we treated them as slaves to be." He turned his eyes to the massive shadow of the Titan outside the window. "Now, they are our masters." The scaled elder hissed softly. "Perhaps they will show mercy. Perhaps they only wanted to frighten us." Vurox's voice was bitter. No creature builds a ship like that just to frighten others. On the Titan's bridge, Captain Elena Graves stood in front of her crew, calm and unshaken. Every eye was on her, waiting for the next command. "Status," she said quietly. Lieutenant Mason checked his console. "The station's weapons are offline, Captain. Their fleet is gone. They've sent a message of surrender." Commander Rourke crossed his arms. "They gave up fast." Cowards. Elena didn't respond immediately. She stared out at the alien station, her expression unreadable. They aren't cowards, she said finally. They just realized the truth. Mason swallowed nervously. And what truth is that, Captain? Elena turned slowly, her voice cold. That the age of the Concorde is over. The age of humanity begins now. Rourke gave a dark chuckle. Time to finish this. Elena nodded. Open a direct channel to the station. The communications officer's fingers moved quickly over the console. Channel open, Captain. Elena stepped forward, her hands clasped behind her back. Her voice was steady, calm, but carried the weight of absolute authority. This is Captain Elena Graves of the United Terran Federation, she said. Your fleets are destroyed. Your station is defenseless. If you wish to live, you will comply with our terms. Vurock appeared on the viewing screen, his face pale and drawn. We surrender, he said quietly. There will be no more fighting. Good, Elena said. Then listen carefully. From this day forward, Earth is not under your control. Humanity will never kneel to the Concorde, or to anyone. Vurock's voice trembled. We never meant to enslave you. It was politics, misunderstandings. Rourke cut him off with a harsh laugh. Don't lie to us. We've read your plans. We know everything. Vurock fell silent. His eyes shifted downward, filled with shame. Elena's voice became like iron. You will leave Earth alone. You will not approach our colonies. You will never again send spies or ships into our territory. And if we refuse? Vurock asked weakly. The Titan's weapons began to glow, casting an eerie blue light across the bridge. Elena didn't even need to answer. Vurock understood. He bowed his head. We accept your terms. There was silence for a long moment. Then Elena spoke again, her tone softer but still unyielding. Good. Remember this day, High Speaker. Your people will tell stories about it for generations. Vurock nodded slowly. Yes, he whispered. They will call it the day humanity rose to power. The connection ended, leaving only the cold stars on the screen. The bridge crew exhaled, tension slowly fading. Mason turned to Elena, his face pale. Captain, we did it. They're standing down. Rourke gave a grim smile. They were never really a threat. Mason frowned. Then why build the Titan at all? Why show them so much power? Elena didn't answer at first. She walked to the viewing window and stared at the alien station, her reflection cold and distant. Finally, she said, because fear lasts longer than treaties. They won't dare move against us now. Not for a very long time. A soft chime sounded from Elena's wrist console. She glanced down. It was a secure message, encrypted at the highest level. Only she could read it. As she scanned the words, a small, dark smile crossed her face. She spoke quietly, almost to herself. Phase 1 complete. Begin preparations for Phase 2. Rourke raised an eyebrow. Phase 2, Captain? Elena turned toward him, her eyes sharp and cold. The Concorde thinks this is over, she said. But they've only seen a fraction of what we've built. Mason's voice was barely a whisper. What is Phase 2? Elena's answer was simple, chilling. Expansion. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, realizing what she meant. The Titan wasn't built just to defend Earth. It was built to conquer. The massive warship slowly turned away from the alien station. Its engines roared to life, shaking the void. On the station, Vurock and his people watched in silence as the terrifying ship vanished into the dark. The scaled elder's voice was filled with dread. Do you think they will return? Vurock didn't look away from the stars. Oh, they will return, he said softly. But next time, they won't come in peace. Back aboard the Titan, Elena stood tall, her gaze fixed on the endless black of space. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. They would never make that mistake again. For now, Earth was safe. But soon, the stars themselves would tremble before the rise of humankind. The Titan disappeared into the void, leaving only silence behind. The message was clear. Humanity does not kneel.